morning to everybody. Again, we welcome you to the workshop entitled Addressing a Revolution in Textile, Clothing, Leather and Footwear Industries Training Education. The Portuguese Technological Center for Footwear and Portuguese Technological Center for Textile and Clothing have the pleasure to jointly hold this international workshop in Portugal. This workshop is held in the frame of an European project called Skills for Smart TCLF 2030, which gathers 22 partners from 9 different countries. For you to know, similar workshops are being held in other countries participating in this project. Firstly, I would like to inform you that this workshop will be recorded and will be podcasted in our YouTube channel as usual. And we would also like to kindly ask you to disconnect your sound when you are not actively participating. So let me quickly introduce you our panel of speakers. They all are project partners. Online with us, Lutz Walter, Director of Innovation and Skills of Eurotex, the European Apparel and Textile Confederation, Carmen Arias, Secretary General of SEC, European Footwear Confederation, Christian Baio, Project Manager and Business Developer at SPIN 360, Alexandra Cardoso from CTCLF, Portuguese Technological Center for Textile Clothing, also a co-organizer of this webinar, and myself, Ruta Souto from Ctcp, Portuguese Technological Center. So today morning we will discuss the subject of training education, an absolutely undeniable instrument for sectorial innovation and development. We'll have first a glance to the Skills for Smart TCLF project and to the updated curricula developed in the project frame. Then a discussion about direct and long-term implications of COVID-19 on training education. Afterwards, a presentation on VET providers networking for projects further cooperation, and finally, the project feature steps. At the end of this presentation, you are very welcome to intervene. For what I kindly ask you to raise your hand. You can also pose your questions from now on in chat or in the section questions and answers. Once again, thank you very much for being with us online. I give the word to Lutz Walter from Eurotex, the project coordinator for this presentation on Skills for Smart project.
Thank you very much, Rita, for your nice introductory words. I will now share my screen so you can see the slides that I use, and I hope you can all see them now. So
yes.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. So yes, good morning to Portugal and some of the other countries that are connected here, and I'm very glad to be here at this Portuguese National Workshop. Would have loved to be in Portugal with you for that, but we all know that this is not something that is very realistic at this current stage. So I hope we can also run a very effective virtual workshop here today. So what I would like to do is to really very briefly introduce you to the Skills for Smart TCLF 2030 project, why this project exists, what the project wants to achieve, what the project already has achieved, and then hand over to some of our other project partners for more specific details. So as the title of the project says, it's about skills, it's about the future when we talk about 2030, and it's about the textile, clothing, leather and footwear industries. And these industries are important in both the national context, I think in Portugal, so in the European context. So here, just to give you a bit of a flavor of what this industry represents, especially in terms of employees in Europe. It's an industry that in 2019 employed 2.2 million people across those 4 sectors. and across the whole of Europe, with the main countries where this industry is represented being Italy, Romania, Poland, Portugal in fourth place, and Germany in fifth. Spain would be sixth. So these are, we would say, would be the six major countries in terms of employment and also industrial activity in these four sectors. These are also sectors that are not only contributing with jobs, but also contributing obviously with economic value to the European economy, realizing an annual turnover of well over 200 billion euros, and also exporting significant amounts of products to countries outside Europe. So a very strategic, a very important industry, an industry that we should really care about its future, and especially as we know that the future of this industry, like many other industries, is in the skills and the qualification of its people. So it's the people that create the value in these industries, and we have to make sure that the industry can find the qualified people that it needs. And this is something which is not easy, and I will come back to that. So, but realizing that these four sectors are strategic for the European economy, and also realizing that this skills challenge is a very big challenge for these industries, the European Commission launched an initiative which is called the Blueprint Initiatives for Sectoral Skills Collaboration, where they launched several projects across several industries, including our industry. So we were part of this first wave of blueprint projects that were started in 2018. It's a big project, it's a complex project. It brings together 22 partners from 9 EU countries. For a 4-year duration. It receives a 4 million euros grant from the European Commission's Erasmus Plus program, and it has a very challenging work program composed of 12 different work packages, 50 deliverables, and quite a few outcomes that are either already delivered or in the process of being delivered. So just to give you a rough idea of our project timeline, so we started the groundwork, so to speak, in 2018 with a research phase, where we both investigated and surveyed industry, so companies from across those 9 countries and across those 4 sectors. We had well over 200 companies that we interviewed in detail about their employment and skill needs, about the job profiles, the occupations, the skills that they see in highest demand in their companies in the coming years, and where there's most need for upskilling, for reskilling, for bringing people with new skills, bringing young people in. We also surveyed the existing education and training provision. So what exists in terms of formal and also, let's say, informal programs that are available for people that want to upskill, that want to educate themselves in our sectors. Based on that, we started in the year 2019 then with the major development work, developing the training content. So we singled out 8 different job profiles, which the industry considered as high demand, high importance for the future. And we developed new curricula or updated curricula for these 8 occupations, so that the skills that are provided to the people that are training in these programs are the correct skills, the correct qualifications that industry then needs. Now in 2020, we move into the testing and piloting phase of these new curricula. A lot of that obviously currently done virtually. We have created, or in the process of finalizing, 8 MOOCs, multi-open online courses for these 8 new curricula, and they're being tested now with companies and with schools as of their practicality and their usefulness in delivering these new trainings. And at the same time, we are also trying to make that a really long-term stakeholder mobilization, so bringing in the industry through its associations, its clusters, its representatives, bringing in the whole education training system through the schools, the universities, then also the public authorities, those that are providing the qualification frameworks, providing the funding for public schools and so on, to all work together towards this this new strategy in for upskilling and reskilling the workforce. Here, a few findings from the industry research that we did in 2018, and also the desk research looking at the employment and skills figures in our industry. And one of the striking trends that we see is the aging of our workforce. So across the EU, in those 4 industries, we look at a situation now in 2019 where around 35% of the workforce is older than 50 years or older, which means that this is workforce that by the year 2030 will not be in our industry anymore. So it is a significant part of our workforce that needs to be replaced, and these are usually the most qualified, the most experienced employees. So replacing them is not something easy. So there is a very strong need to bring skilled people into the industry. But knowing that that it's not easy to bring and attract young people to the industry, companies mostly focus on upskilling the existing workforce that they already have. If you look at the graph at the bottom, the HR strategies, so upskilling of the existing personnel is really the #1 strategy followed by companies in meeting their skill demands. Yes, they also create extra jobs. They use job rotation where it is possible, reorganizing processes and so on, but really working better with the people that they already have is really the #1 strategy that companies follow. You can also see that there's some trends in terms of the skills and the qualification levels that are needed in the industry. So you see this pie chart on the right side where from over a time frame of 8 years, you see clearly some developments in terms of the skill levels that you find in the job profiles in our industry, especially with the higher EQF levels 5, 6 are being so professionals, technicians, and so on are in higher demand, are more highly represented in our industry, while still having also significant need and demand on plant and machine operators or craft-related workers. So these types of, let's say, more medium qualified staff will also not go away. Then obviously our idea was not just understanding what happened in the past or what is the situation today. We want to project into the future. So we analyzed the major drivers of change and put them in various categories and assess them, how important they are. So you see here from this slide that technological change has a very big impact. But also consumer behaviors, consumer trends have a big impact on the industry. Environmental change has a big impact. Obviously, you see that COVID-19 is not on this graph because, well, this survey was done well before. Obviously, this has a very big impact, and we'll come to that later on in Christian's presentation. What we did on all of that, on the basis of all of that, is that we created 5 potential future scenarios for our industry, and evaluated these scenarios in terms of their impact on job needs and in terms of skill needs. So, and if I very briefly run through them, let's say from top right to bottom left. So we have the first one, the Brave New World. It's a scenario where the industry is very much investing in new technology, in digitalization, in automation, in highly sophisticated manufacturing and supply chain systems, which requires obviously a lot of new skills. It may not create an enormous amount of jobs, but it will be able to maintain industry jobs in Europe because the competitiveness of the industry depends much less on labor and manual labor force, but more on exploiting new technologies on which we obviously compete on equal footing with other parts in the world. a somewhat similar scenario is the selective leadership. In this sense here, it is more that the industry selects or competes in selected markets, in selected segments of the markets, especially the highest added value segments, whether it's luxury and premium on the fashion side, whether it's highly technical, highly functional products in workwear, in protection, in technical applications, in medical, and so on and so forth, whereas the lower added value components are basically abandoned by the European industry. So that is a slightly different scenario. Again, a lot of skill needs, job maintenance, not a lot of new job creation. A different scenario is what we call the renaissance of the craft, which is a scenario where which is more focused on this whole sustainability, regional supply chain circularity, where we produce maybe or production comes back into more local clusters, smaller scale, done in still relatively traditional ways, but due to consumer demand, something that becomes more viable again, which could lead to quite a lot of job creation, not an enormous need for reskilling and upskilling, because we keep working pretty much with the similar processes and materials and products, but we do that in a slightly different way, in a different organization. And then we go to the left side of the chart, the walled gardens, which is a scenario where, well, it's a more sort of when protectionism trends that we see in the world are coming up again, so that, let's say, the industries in the different regions in the world are shielded from global competition, so they create sort of their own walled gardens where you can maintain industrial activity, but it's not something that is based on a lot of internal evolution, but it's more you are protected and can continue to do what you have always done. In this sense, we can probably maintain jobs, but we don't need a lot of new skills. And then obviously the most negative scenario, which we call the industrial sunset, where we see a continued, let's say, race to the bottom, that it's mostly focused on, let's say, cheapest production, cheapest cost, lowest cost wins, and where we see a lot of production continuing to move away from Europe, which then obviously would lead to a lot of job losses and also not much need in terms of skilling. Needless to say that this is not a scenario that we all believe in a lot, but for the sake of completeness, we obviously have to put that on the map as well. So that just gives you a flavor of how we evaluate the future, the potential future, possible futures of our industry, and how that impacts skills and jobs. So as we are not yet at the end of our project, we still have quite a few work items to do. So as I said, we're finalizing the 8 MOOCs for our new job profiles. We're piloting and testing them right now. We're also developing 9 national skills strategies and then a final EU level sectoral skills strategy to work with all the stakeholders to improve the skills level and the education level, the training level in our industries in the coming years. And also, as I said, we don't want to have this as a one-off project. We want to have developed that into a long-term initiative for the benefit of our sector. So to develop a sustainability plan for what will happen after the end of the project in 2021 or 2022 actually. So, and that has also to do with continuing engagement with regional authorities and with all the stakeholders. So with this, I think I come to the end of my presentation. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and I hand over, well, first back to Rita, and I think then to Christian. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lutz. Thank you very much. So the following presentation will have 2 presenters, Alexandra Cardoso from CTEV and myself from Ctcp. We will talk about the 8 new professional profiles and curricula developed in the frame of this project. Alexandra, please.
Hello, good morning. I will start to share my screen. It's okay? You can see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
So one of the main project objectives was the identification and the development of the 8 new qualification profiles for TCLF sectors. Profiles suitable to meet the labor market needs, and at the same time with a differentiating pedagogical methodologies and which encourage the involvement of young people in these industries, as well professional recycling. How we select the 8 new qualification profiles. The partnership has engaged in a detailed field and desk-based research, making analysis of current VET providers and also mapping the training offer. It was conducted a survey about future needed skills and trends. In this survey, we involved 225 industries from 9 countries, and we also organized a focus group with VET providers. We have defined the 8 profiles. 4 of them are transversal to the 4 sectors, and the other 4 represent 1 for each sector. So the sectoral profiles are the textile technologist, clothing CAD pattern maker, the leather technologist, and 3D CAD footwear developer. In what regards to transversal profiles, we have the sustainability technicians, digital supply chain analysts, digital marketing professional, e-process and production timeline analysts. We are now opening and offering our premium work. It was designed for each profile, the technological framework and the unit of learning outcomes. It was created a guide with an overview of the most common learning approach and delivery methods. And per unit of learning outcomes, partners develop a technical and practical exercise with a huge component of the work-based learning. For all 8 profiles, it was developed a MOOC, designed both as standalone online and as learning support for face-to-face training sessions. 8 tutorials for trainers or teachers has also been designed. These manuals intend to promote the MOOC resource and work-based learning innovation, integrating studies, assignments, exercise, and these manuals aims to support the train-the-trainers activity. To summarize in number, the resource and the tools. So we have 8 profiles, 51 units of learning outcomes, 230 lessons, 51 sets of exercise and assessments, and 50 language versions. Without going to details, I will briefly talk about 4 profiles, and Rita will then present the other 4. The textile technologies profile is totally different from what we have in the national qualification profile, because we don't have a specific profile for this occupation. The profile output is related with the optimization of the textile manufacturing system, textile production system according to the quality system, and the emerging textile technologists. In sum, we can say that this professional should be able to plan, conduct, coordinate, and monitor the manufacturing process and assure that it is carried out in a consistent manner and in accordance with the specifications. In our national framework, we have some profiles on the design and fashion field, but no one is totally specialized in clothing CAD pattern maker. We intend that this occupation should be answered a specific situation, because the clothing card pattern maker should be able to design, evaluate, adjust, and modify patterns. They should also support entire prototyping process and use virtual fitting, being able to transform 2D CAD pattern in 3D models and vice versa. And in some, this professional can analyze and create the own stylistic identity of the pattern, as well as the existing brand identity characteristics. As explained in at the beginning of my presentation, companies were invited to participate in a survey that aimed to identify the most crucial needs and analyze the vet training offer, and companies foresee significant future demands and skills change for these two occupations. About the transversal profiles, one of the most innovative and differentiated activity was in fact the development of transversal profiles to the 4 sectors. I will talk about supply chain analysts. These profiles are totally innovative because we don't have nothing compared to this profile in the national qualification. This professional should have a deep understanding of the business problems that may affect the supply chain, use suitable tools and database management, and in some, she or he conduct data gathering and analyzing and provide solution to cut costs and to increase the efficiency through the entire product life cycle with the TCLF sectors. About the process and production timeline analysts. This professional should be able to gathering, elaborating, storing, using and sharing digital process data, should have a deep understanding of the manufacturing technologies, analyze the general work environment and all possible unexpected influence in order to provide optimization of the production in the 4 sectors. And in some, this professional should work with production and quality managers in order to reach the company's objectives related to the quality, quantity, and timing. And also, companies foresee significant future demands and skill change in these 2 occupations. And now Rita will talk about the other 4 profiles, 2 sectorial profiles and 2 transversal profiles.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, I'll start with the footwear 3D CAD developer. In fact, it's a fusion of the typical designer and the pattern maker, but now using in all phases of the process, and I mean the design, the adjustments, the modifications, and also the industrialization of the footwear models. So he or she used the state-of-the-art digital tools available in the sector, namely the CAD 3D and the CAD 2D. This professional needs to have a deep understanding on pattern making and the rapid prototyping processes, and to deep manage the technologies 3D and 2D CAD for modeling and visual prototyping. I will proceed with the leather technologist. The leather technologist follows the same philosophy than the textile technologist. So he or she will be able to have a deep knowledge on the wool leather manufacturing process, from the selection of hides and skins, their preparation for tanning, to manage chemical issues also, manage the wet and dry operations, till the finishing and the quality control, the wool process. And he or she is supposed to support all entire leather production process in a tanning company. Okay, as Chandra mentioned, this intervention in terms of skills development is something that the companies ask for, actually. And this offering a brand new professional profiles, it can respond to the evidence-based research that we held near the sector. Now, two more transversal profiles, but with a strong TCLF orientation. The digital marketing professional who have a deep knowledge on e-commerce, marketing, management and online sales methods, bank payments, protection of data, among many other issues, and manage the online sales and contributes to the elaboration of the company brand's digital strategy, but very oriented to TCLF sectors. And finally, the sustainability technician, another transversal profile, but with a very strong orientation to TCLF. And this professional contributes to the definition and implementation of strategies on sustainability within the whole production process and supply chain in each sector. And supervises, improves manufacturing processes and materials used to ensure the sustainability of the production and monitor and improve the environmental and social impacts according to both the company's business strategy and the customer's requirement. Again, these two interventions in terms of skills development responds to the evidence-based research that we did near our companies. And I thank you very much for your attention. I don't know if Alexandra wants to add something now.
No, it's okay, Rita. Yes, thank you.
So thank you very much. And the next speaker owns a presentation on direct and long-term implication on COVID-19 on training education. It will be a very interactive presentation. And please, Christian Bayo from SPIN, have the word.
Hello and thank you. Welcome. Let me introduce this discussion. I will run a little bit just because we are a little bit on delay, but hoping you will have all the necessary information for this topic. I will show you very briefly the situation of COVID-19, even if all of us are aware of this situation, what's happened. Few facts and figures due to the fact that we have made an analysis of practice and best practices around the world. Therefore, we will present you what's happened around regarding the COVID-19 situation. We have analyzed that and outlined 5 key challenges. And then we will engage all of you in your point of view regarding this topic. First of all, bad issues, all of us. This is the situation in May 19th of this year regarding the school closure due to the COVID-19. If you concentrate yourself on the pink and violet colors, you see that in May 19th, almost all the world was in the same situation. This is the good issues. When there is the disruption, sometimes there is also good news, because before this year, in 1675, the Great Plague forced the closure of a lot of European institutions and vocational educational trainers. One of that was the University of Cambridge. And at that time, there was Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton remained at home for 2 years, so it's a long, very long lockdown. The good news is that during this period, he was able to study and deeper analyze the mathematics, calculus, mechanics, and optics. And during this lockdown, he was able to prepare his famous book, Philosophy Naturalis Principia, Mathematica and Optics. Therefore, it's not true that in a disruption moment, all the things goes wrong. To do that, we have, I'm going to show you a few information regarding what's happening around the world. Let's concentrate regarding the training provided in 5 main regions: Europe and Central Asia, America, Arab states, Asia and Pacific, and Africa during the COVID situation. Let's concentrate on the full remote, the blue line. As you can see, Europe we had a great increment of the digital and the remote providing of courses, the highest in all the world, following by Americans and other states. Of course, poor country should concentrate on closing the courses instead of providing new ideas. A new one is this slide that shows which kind of tools has been used around the world during the COVID. Again, let's see in 1 second the difference between, at the top of the screen on the left, you see innovative like video conference, virtual reality, virtual learning environments. And going down, you will see classic as television, videos, and written resources. If you concentrate yourself on high-income countries, the yellow, you see that during the COVID, there was an increment of video conference, virtual learning environments, blog, discussion forum, and new written resources. Yes, it's written, but new one has been developed due to the crisis. If you concentrate on the lower middle income, you see that they concentrated their attention on existing broadcast way of disseminate, like podcast, television, videos, and distributing writing resource existing and sometimes new written resources. It means that the country with less possibility of investment use the existing broadcast information tool to disseminate. We have, as I said at the beginning, we made a desk research analysis around the world, and we analyze the literature regarding the implication of COVID on education. Say that we have found 5 main key challenge, and that's are similar in all the world. The problem was enhance the digital teaching, keep students and apprenticeship engaged, support the most vulnerable learners, grade and assess students, and deliver on-the-job training in distance. Let me briefly show you these 5 key challenges and what happened in Europe to support these challenges. Enhanced digital teaching. It's logical. All of us has understood that this emergency has revolutionized the teaching and the learning modalities. Of course, e-learning and the digitalization has been increased. And in almost all Europe, there was a great effort from authorities to support with the tools to teach professors and students. An example, for example, is the Luxembourg good practices. The ministry launched a survey to teachers and parents to get informed on the way they were handling distance learning. This survey was also an opportunity to collect the remarks and suggestions for improvement. And later on this survey, the ministry start also an activities to train the trainers regarding the digital teaching and the new technologies. Keep students and apprenticeship engaged. It's not only for students, but also for us. There was a shift to different education paradigm. And this, it was crucial to set up new strategies to help institutions retain students, both during the pandemic, but also when resume of classes. Here in Italy, for example, we are starting now the new year, the new academic year, and there is a huge change for all of us, our child. A good practice we can talk to you is the Ireland, where the vet providers used and engaged students and apprentices to support the health system. during their normal student activities, they develop and then support in different practical actions. First of all, to support the COVID situation, but also to be more practical in their day-by-day activities. Another important challenge is to support the vulnerable learners. You are aware that vulnerable students are likely to fall behind and during this emergency period. The students with this kind of problem, vulnerable students, has a difficult access to digital resources, and sometimes they don't have a good home learning environment. This is an example, and you are aware from Portugal regarding the Telescola. Is a tool that you have used, is a best practices, where you have used the television channel, so a standard broadcast that almost all the people in your country have, in Europe have, to develop digital education training, to permit to also vulnerable students to have access to information during the COVID situation. Grade and assess students is one of the other challenge that we have found analyzing the best practices. And of course, the situation of the COVID did not allow students to be given fair opportunities in terms of assessment, procedure, and exams. An example, this is not the best practice, this is a way out idea, is coming from France. They have exceptionally suspended exams during the COVID period, but they have created a jury that decided the final grades, taking in consideration learning performance during the practical training period before the COVID. Last but not least, one of the other challenges that all of the VT providers in Europe and in the world has found is how to deliver on-the-job training without presence. That is one of the most important. To be present, to have a physical presence is one of the most basic issues to have a training on the job. The digital tools supported us, even if you think about simulators or virtual reality, it's quite difficult to apply, and it's not an easy first step to solve these issues. We have a couple of examples of good practices in Europe. Romania, that, for example, for a specific field, this one was in the branch of economy. They use the tool online because it was able to use software, and they use a demonstration and simulation and training using this specific tool online. So it was a software. Slovenia made something different. That is another issue, good practices, because teachers could collaborate with in-company trainers and prepare new instruction and materials for remote training. Therefore, even if students were not present, they received new documentation, new files. So students and apprentices received individual or group assignments and prepared the demonstration videos and presentation for classmates. To sum up this kind of analysis, that for your information is available, and if you ask to the organization of the webinar, we will be able to support you with a list of best practices that we have found in Europe. This was just an example to give you a first bird eye ideas of what's happened. There are a number of practices in Europe. The fact is that most of them cannot be easily copy and paste to other countries because of human and digital resource, level of autonomy and flexibility of each national regulation. And of course, the necessity of different kind of authorities support. So we have seen that a specific VT best practice maybe could not be suitable for others as it is. In our opinion, it's important to leverage on all the possible aspects highlighted above in order to put an holistic strategy in this time of crisis. The next steps, in our opinion, for the VET system is to, as they made during this crisis is to be faster. They needed to respond quicker to the changing of the crisis. Of course, they have to continue the acceleration in digital transformation, because we have seen that this is a key issue to proceed during this pandemic situation. And to our opinion is to facilitate an exchange of knowledge between all of you. Our idea is to create and to support a collaboration of a network, to create the possibility to have a VT excellences at all levels and sharing best practices between each others. At these steps, I would like, I was quicker because I would like to respect the time, but of course, now it's time to all of you to give me your opinion. Say that we have prepared a questionnaire, and I would like to ask to all of you to go to your mobile phone on the website www.minty.com and use the code 4039748, because now it's time to ask you a few questions, and you will be able to reply to me using this tool. Ready? The first issue I would like to ask you is which following I will present you a list of tools, and please give me your opinion which one was used before the COVID. So what you used to use before the COVID experience. So kindly vote and ranking your list. People starting to vote. Asynchronous courses is, traditional face-to-face classes, of course, is going one of the first, is growing printed materials. Of course, before COVID, online learning was not one of the first, and traditional face-to-face classes was the most used tool. Let me now ask you, people still voted, so I will give you more 10 seconds to vote. Even if traditional printed and asynchronous courses are the third on that, and that was I was expecting. Let's now ask you the same issue, but which following learning tool are you currently or planning to use for teaching during and after the COVID pandemic situation? Again, the list is always the same, but you should give a different ranking, I suppose, due to the fact that now I'm talking about what's happened during or after. Of course. Things is going to change. And what was the top three now is no more like that. The printed materials is decreased, the traditional decreased. Video conference and learning asynchronous is still one of the best. Online learning with simulators, and it's third, that wasn't in the past. Interesting, but expected. That was what happened around the world. And we have also seen that during our previous slide, where I show you that there was the digitalization in Europe increased a lot on that. I think that just is too much. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about the challenges, as I showed you before. Give me your opinion. I'm curious to understand what challenge does your organization face in delivering education program and activities during the COVID pandemic. Again, there is a list of different possible challenges. Give me your vote on all of them. Okay, someone is already voting, and certified limitation, yes, of course. There is in the delivering practical training, yes, we have seen also in our presentation before, is one of the most important challenges. The infrastructure at home, internet, software, the license of some tools to permit the teacher to train, and difficulties in supporting the most vulnerable learners is growing. It's a fact. It's interesting because in Portugal, the tool that you have used with the broadcast television supported a lot this kind of activities. Is growing also the limited digital and literacy skills on trainers and or trainees. That's an interesting point, but even if we expected some of that. It's not very high, the cost for the protective equipment. This is maybe because all of you has invested in digitalization instead of a physical presence of people. Okay, let me proceed with another question regarding your activities, your situation. Has your organization provided any additional support to the staff teacher to ensure the continuation of education program and activities? We have seen that in Europe, yes, I'm expecting that. For sure, Europe and our system gave that. So I'm pretty sure that I was expecting this kind of vote. And even if sometimes was not as expected, there was from the organization support to staff and teachers. And thanks to that, we were able to proceed and to support students. Proceeding, the consequences. We are almost at the end of our short surveys. I'm curious to understand if national, regional authorities, industrial associations put in place support measures to help your organization to deal with the impact of COVID. Let's see. So during and after, I'm curious to understand that. The first one is no. Okay, very good. 1 and 2, okay. Of course, it maybe is not enough. Maybe is not aligned with the necessity, but it's true that national, regional authorities and the industrial association are in a different point of view supporting this kind of problem. Okay, let's proceed. Let's proceed with, I suppose, the last one. Will your organization consider adjusting the way it delivers education training in the long run following the COVID-19 pandemic? Let's see. So are you going to change the way you will train in education? We are in a disruption moment, and it's logical, yes. It's quite logical, but as I said at the beginning, we start with a pessimistic point of view, and now all of us, who is it? Not sure if it's the one that will do the same thing before is the correct one. Future will tell. For sure, we have seen that in a disruption moment, we need to change. We need to adjust, in any case, something, because this is only a signal of what could happen in the future. From my side is over. I've closed and I will share with you the results. So if you want, I'm able to, we will be able to share with you the best practices analyzed and also the possibility to see these results of this instant pool we have done together. So thank you for your time. I put again the connection to Rita. So Rita, floor is yours, and thank you for the time.
Thank you very much, Christian, also for promoting an internal reflection, all of us. And thank you very much, all of you, for actively participating. Now, I'm very pleased to give the word to Carmen Arias, the Secretary General of SEC, European Footwear Confederation. Carmen will give a presentation on establishing a network of VET providers for sustainable cooperation in the frame of the project results. Please, Carmen, the word is all yours. Carmen, you have to unmute. So to put your sound on, please. We can.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, unfortunately, my mouse was not responding to my hand. It was not obeying me. But anyway, now it works. Thank you very much, Rita, for the introduction. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here today. As Rita announced, I would like to introduce you to one of the objectives of our network, of our project, that it is the network of TCLF Centers of Vocational Excellence that we would like to build up with the help of, with the participation and interest of all of you, of course. So basically, as you all know already, by now I'm just going to present it in like this is better. So what we have nowadays in Europe is basically our industries focus on clusters, on regions, and I would say that your region, Portugal, sorry, is one of the best examples on this territorial dimension, followed probably by the Valencian region of, in Spain. And for that, well, having in mind that we have such the industry, such a strong representation, we would like really to support them on the competitiveness on increasing the competitiveness and also of the regions. There, obviously, the VET centers, the VET ecosystems play a crucial role. And this is why we consider that we have to invest, all of us, not only all of us, but we need to engage all stakeholders to support our goal and really modernize our VET systems, which unfortunately are not at the same level in all the regions. There is a lot of investments at the moment in some of them, but others, they are still a bit behind. As you have seen with COVID, our VET education systems need to be much more responsive, agile, and ready to any changes. In this case, it was COVID, and with that, it has come the digitalization, the enormous and rapid changes that my colleagues Christian and Lutz have already speak about. These are really the drivers of change at the moment leading our industry and our world: digitalization, the green transition, and COVID obviously has helped out on this acceleration. We have, on our previous study and research that Lutz mentioned at the beginning, we did identify some obstacles to reach this rapid transformation. Well, I would say more upgrade of the systems. And some of them were the lack of autonomy of action in some of them, especially on those which depend obviously from the public government or regional or national. There is also a lack of autonomy on action, but also on the use of the financial and human resources. Then one other problem that we see is that some of them, they are working on isolation, and they are not really working together with the other stakeholders, such as the governments, regional governments, or universities, or, well, I will not say industries, because at this stage, especially in Portugal, I believe that all of you are working very well with the industry. But still, much more could be done, especially when it comes to interchanges with other regions and other countries, which I think there is a great potential that not all vet systems have taken advantage. Some vet centers have not taken advantage. Then this is okay. The final was just what I was saying, that they need to be more integrated in the regional development policies, because at the end of the day, I mean, the growth of the region depends on the industry, and the industry depends on the vet, on a modern vet system, basically. So we have, as I said, the vet centers. What we believe we have is the vet centers as drivers of skills ecosystems. And then we have why this is like this, because, well, you all know this, but I think it's important to remind ourselves and realize about your important and relevant role that you are doing. So you are a very rapid and agile knowledge diffuser. You are a catalyzer of innovation and applied research. I just have to remind you on how, for example, this adaptation has come up with some of the textile companies reconverting themselves on PPE producers, on masks, on other equipment. You are very good at best addressing demographic, labor market, and technological changes, and COVID, as we have seen. And you can contribute, obviously, to valorize all human capital, and also promote the integration and the full potential of disadvantaged learners. And you, as you say, you are, as I said before, you are really delivering the skill supply depending on the regional expertise and needs. So, and in this way, we can just, if we fulfill all these services, basically, we can deliver the skill provision more responsive to disruption and uncertainty. We will attract more qualified young talent and we will empower better our skill force. We will upgrade skills, as Liz was saying, their skills, and we will be more resilient, and we will help our companies to be more resilient and increase their growth and competitiveness. Obviously, all this is not possible if we don't get our public governments to support our education, I mean, the vet education in the different regions. And that is why we need to involve, well, to promote this link between the public entities and the vet system and the vet centers, and obviously the other stakeholders as well. Just to give you the definition of what means vet excellence according to the Centers of Vocational Excellence that the Commission is now promoting. Centers of Vocational Excellence bring together a wide range of local partners, as I said, such as providers of vet, employers, research centers, development agencies, and employment services. Well, this is among others. And the idea is to build skills ecosystem that contribute to regional, economic, and social development, innovation, and smart specialization strategies. For those who are not familiar with the smart specialization strategies, this is really a tool, well, I would say a conditionality that the European Commission has put on regions to deliver all the funding available for the region, all the cohesion funds. It consists on the regions trying to identify the sectors or the priorities of investments, and then obviously this funding will be dedicated to these strategies. One point important, and I think you should all know, is that there is now a second period of these smart specialization strategies where education is eligible for funding from the European funds on that line, a budget line, which means that obviously we are trying to get advantage of that funding. Well, not us directly, but more the region. All of you, I think, is important that to get funding on that direction. I mean, before there was only one respondent saying that that they were not receiving funding. I believe Porto is really one of the examples of how the collaboration is working. But as I said before, not in all regions in Europe this collaboration is working, and not all the support, the necessary support is arriving to the vet systems and the vet centers. So, so to be the drivers of the centers of vocational excellence that we believe it will be relevant to build up, well, what should it be? This is really following the Commission guidelines. Well, these centers, this vet should not only be providing initial vet, but also continuing vet. I know that the majority of you are doing this. This is not either an obligation, mandatory, but this is just a suggestion from the Commission. I would say they will be doing validation informal training, so, or also social integration services. They could be providing trends observatory and entrepreneurial services, support to startups, research activities. It does not mean that all of the vet centers need to have all these activities, because obviously each one has their strategy and their priorities. But this is really for saying that a vet center is much more than just initial training. It goes beyond, and it supports much more added value to the society, to the companies, basically, and to the regions. So with all these services, the vet can really contribute to build up this solid local, regional vet skills ecosystems, basically. And for that, they need the collaboration with all stakeholders. The idea is really to think global, but act local, really increasing the competitiveness of your industry. So what else does it mean? This is referring to what I was saying before. I mean, vets need to have a certain autonomy at the level of governance, and to know, I mean, to try, they should react whenever there is a need, and not maybe in some cases they are waiting for validation, certification, and from some public authorities and bodies. No, I mean, they should have more. It should be more agile, all the system. And they should also engage and actively collaborate with agents of the knowledge triangle, as I said before, in order to get integrated as well in the development of the regional strategies. And last but not least, try to establish international partnership with other centers of vet excellence in Europe that share the same interest. With this idea, we would like to build up a network of centers of vet excellence in Europe with these different regions. And the objectives of this network will be it will be obviously whatever you decide, but these are just some guidelines as well. The first idea is to improve the quality of vet provision in the TCLF sectors, to exchange knowledge and best practices. It can happen very easily that in one region, the government is supporting in one field, and you might not have not thought about this on how to approach it or how to present it or initiate the project or the initiative. So to facilitate the creation of cooperative projects and share also and disseminate innovative measures at international level. And then obviously to increase the attractiveness of our vet in the TCLF sectors, because we do not want vet to be a second choice. We want to be the first choice and the choice. Obviously, this is not going to be easy. Why? Because in regions, there are many. I mean, each actor can have a different. Each stakeholder can have a different interest and a different objective. But also, it is certain that you have things in common. You have one objective in common is really to deliver the services to the industry in order that it grows. There is an economy for the region, an increasing economy for the region, a growth. There is also sometimes a lack of financial resources and time restrictions, because sometimes you need to act very quick, as you know. There is a need to strengthen and exchange information and resources and try to maximize. That could be that because of the daily work, you don't pay attention to that, or you don't give priority. There could be also language barriers, because not everybody speaks a common language in other regions. I mean, maybe English or French or another language, common language. There is also the lack of autonomy I referred to before. And then the integration, meaning you should not stay on your own and just think on your business as a unique standalone stakeholder. That I know you don't, but as I said, it's not always like this the case. So what will be now, where are we, and what will be the next steps, basically? Okay, as Lutz was saying, there was an initial analysis of company skills needs and of VET provision in the EU. And also we tried to link with the Commission to understand the meaning of the VET excellence, and together with the regional development, we have been in discussions with them. From this analysis, we got these fundings that I presented, like the lack of autonomy and so on. And now we are presenting to you what is the network, what we would like to build up. On the 3rd of November, and in the meantime, I know we are carrying out a survey with some other questions on collaboration. What have you been doing with other stakeholders, both at home and abroad? And then the idea is that on the 3rd of November, we would like to invite all of you, not only Portuguese VET stakeholders, but also European, all of them, all of our TCLF, basically, community, to present the results of this research, also of our webinar, the conclusions of the different webinars. As Rita advanced, we are having this webinar in different countries in Europe. Well, online, obviously, unfortunately. Then we will present you with some ideas, or well, according to the discussions, the conclusions, we will draft the common interest that you have manifest, and with the idea that you sign a memorandum of understanding with the definition of the collaboration scope you would like to work on together. And obviously, as from there, we will try to propose you also, well, not to help out to define common activities and projects that you will be interested in participating. Obviously, it doesn't mean that all of you will be interested in the same aspects and the same initiatives, but and there will be, the idea is to have a lot of partnerships, a lot of different projects together, but in the different areas that you identify that you have your priorities. So with this in mind, we can then define what will be the activities. And among the activities, for example, okay, obviously there will be mobility actions, not only for students, but also for teachers, train the trainers as well. You can even, we could be that with technology companies, you are interested to learn how do they work, because it's the future of what the industry needs. So you the community on that side. There will be webinars, physical meetings, conferences, all aimed to basically knowledge sharing on skilled needs, increase work-based learning, also learn about an apprenticeship. These days very difficult because of the COVID. Develop transnational joint curricula, also engage on validation maybe of non-formal education, and okay, in exchange of, in general, exchanging good practices, and also to attract the youngsters to our sectors to study there. It will be all about you proposing and agreeing on the next, on the future activities. With this in mind, I would like you to answer now to a very quick question. You know that we like these questions, and Christian is a master. So Christian, I think you are there.
Yes.
With the question that we would like to ask our colleagues.
Yes, okay, here we are. Do you see
it's a
the
very
screen?
simple question.
Yes, okay, it's a very simple question, just to close the discussion with Carmen.
Yes.
Please.
On which activities would you consider a priority to invest if EU funding was available under the future network of the European TCLF VET centers? So what will be your priorities? Please, Christian, show, display.
Let's start.
Let's start, yeah. So you have time. I hope that you have not closed your mobile. We leave
Exactly.
you leave you when we should have actually tell you not to close it. You have some time.
Yes, also because there are long replies, so it's necessary time.
I know. Just take your time. Let's see. We have already one. Okay, digital teaching and learning methodologies, good. There is a lot to explore there, definitely. Also coming with the virtual reality and so on. Okay, events to promote the best students, attraction of the new students is important. Otherwise, we will have to close all down. No, I am joking. I'm a positive person, please. So no, this will never happen. So let's see. Interesting that the vet students are really the first one, followed by the digital. Let's see how many we have. I cannot see how many replies we have.
6. We are at 6 replies. Usually
okay,
we had
I still need another 6, please. I know you are there, and I know you want to reply. So please, we have time. We let you some time more time. So exchange of best practice, regional education and teachers. Christian, I cannot see the last number of the participants.
We are 8. We are 8.
Okay. It's hidden under my screen. I don't know.
Of course, I understood. It's 9 now.
Yeah. So, okay, the digital teaching is ahead. The COVID has really put us on pressure. And I know there is a lot to explore on that field with all the virtual reality tools, and even also artificial intelligence maybe in the future. Then it's followed by the attraction that we are all very interested, even also everybody.
We are 11.
And then the workshops. Then you have professional education of teachers and trainers through mobility recognition. Okay, I know. Yeah, I know that many of you are already very active on mobility with the students. I'm not sure about the trainers, but on students, I know that some of you are. I see they're still there. The recognition. So the last one is the machinery. Okay, so you are happy what you have is very good. Okay.
We have 12, Carmen. So
sorry?
we have 12.
Okay, very good. Well done. Thank you very much. But I think that is just the first, I would say, first tip of what could be the activities that the future network could focus on. And again, it doesn't mean that you all have to jump on the same boat, but it is a point of reference for future partnerships within the network of TCLF with vet centers. So I thank you very much for your participation, and I hope we will be in touch, and we will be inviting you very soon. Thank you as well for participating in the survey online at the moment, on the online survey. I know that almost all of you have done it, so thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you very much. I don't know if any of the participants want to pose any question to the speakers, or to make any comment, or share any experience. I may, we have some time, more than 10 minutes, till the predicted end of the workshop. I may, but you can also, you also have time to do that, more than 10 minutes till the end. So I think I'm going to convey my role of moderation to my colleague Alexandra Cardoso from CTEV. She will do a summary of the next steps regarding this cooperation project. And if you don't have to pose any question or share any experience, she will do the closing notes of the workshop. Mm-hmm. From my side, it was a big pleasure to be online with you. Alexandra, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Rita. And thank you very much to all of you for this special morning and dynamic morning, for this exchange of knowledge and experience. In fact, this new situation that we are living is a huge challenging for all those who provide the training for companies and trainees. But I believe that after this phase, we will certainly all be more flexible and with new digital skills. And it is also a way to get closer and try to reinforce the relationships. Without wanting to take up too much of your time, I would just like to tell you briefly that the project is in a very dynamic phase. We started the piloting, where the qualification profiles we presented will be tested. The resources created for the 8 profiles will be available in a MOOC, in the learning platform. And if you want to be part of this extraordinary test phase, please contact me or Rita. We will give you all the indications, and we are here to waiting for you. So we are also, like Lutz said in the beginning of their presentation, outlining the national strategy and the European sectorial skills strategies. And I'm looking now for the chat. I see that no one want to make questions. So from my side, thank you again. We will keep you informed about our activities, and we hope that you have a good day and keep in touch.